Hi, I'm Ann, and I am presenting tonight on behalf of LELA, Louisiana's nonprofit resource for college access. It's important to understand the entire cost of college and how to begin preparing for it. Your cost of attendance is going to include your equipment, books, and supplies, personal expenses, room and board, and tuition and fees. But the good news is that financial aid is available from the U.S. Department of Education, the state of Louisiana, your college or career school, and nonprofit organizations like LELA. There are 3 types of federal student aid. I like to reorder these. 1, the free money. 2, earned money. And 3, borrowed money. This is a list of all federal programs designed to help students pay for college. Most of us have heard about the federal Pell Grant. In addition, there's the FSA ID, the Teach Grant, the Iraq and Afghanistan Service Grant, Federal Work Study, direct, subsidized, unsubsidized, and PLUS loans. Federal Work Study is money set aside for students on each college campus to be able to work and earn additional funds to be able to pay for their college expenses. These jobs look great on your first professional resume. So please consider Federal Work Study. It's important to understand the difference in loans that you might be offered by your college. Direct subsidized loans are loans that are based on financial need. They're only for undergraduate students, and the interest is waived while you're in school or cease to attend. Now, everyone is going to be eligible for the direct unsubsidized loan. These are in the student's name only. No credit check is required, but interest does begin to accrue once this loan is fully dispersed. Remember that the U in unsubsidized means that you always pay the interest on that loan. So when you receive your financial aid offer, you'll want to remember to accept the subsidized loan portion first. All of these dollars can be used at public and private four-year colleges, community colleges, career and technical schools, for part-time and online courses. To access these funds, you must first complete the free application for federal student aid. Make sure that you're meeting all of the FAFSA deadlines. Your colleges should have a priority financial aid deadline. You'll want to jot down that information. The state of Louisiana, in the form of the TOPS scholarship, does set a deadline for students to complete the FAFSA if they want to use the FAFSA as their TOPS application. And then, of course, the federal deadline. Who can complete a FAFSA? Who's eligible to receive federal student aid? U.S. citizens, U.S. nationals, those with a green card or an arrival departure record, those who have battered immigrant status, and a T visa. So before beginning the FAFSA, you'll want to gather all of the documents needed to complete the form. Once you do that, it should only take between 45 minutes to an hour to complete. You will need the student and parents' most recent Social Security cards, the student and parents' 2022 federal income tax returns, if you filed one, student and parents' W-2 wage and tax statements from your employers from the year 2022, and bank statements and investment statements. You'll be asked to report the balances of these accounts as of the date you submit the FAFSA. The first thing we want to do is create a federal student aid ID. Now, the FAFSA is not going to open this year until sometime in December, but you should create your FSA ID now. The student and the parent provided that student with the most financial support in 2022 should create a federal student aid ID. Let's listen to this brief video from Federal Student Aid.
Perhaps you're a student, parent, or loan borrower who needs to apply for financial aid, electronically sign your FAFSA form, or access other benefits on studentaid.gov. To take full advantage of all our resources and log into studentaid.gov, you'll have to first create an FSA ID. Your FSA ID gives you access to Federal Student Aid's platform and can serve as your legal signature. Your FSA ID is your account username and password. To prepare to create your FSA ID, have your Social Security number, mobile phone, and/or your personal email address handy. To start, navigate to studentaid.gov and select Create Account. Once you're on the Create Account page, select the Get Started button. If you are completing a FAFSA form and are considered a dependent student, keep in mind that you will need to create your own separate FSA ID using your own personal information. A mobile phone number, email address, and Social Security number can be associated with only one FSA ID. For helpful tips throughout the FSA ID creation process, select the question mark icons that display next to each field. Next, you'll create your username, enter an email address, and create your password. We recommend not using your school-based email address, since you will need to access your federal student aid account after you graduate. Make sure you don't include private information such as your name or date of birth as part of your password. Quick tip, remember, an email address can be associated with only one username and password. Next, enter your permanent address and mobile phone number. Indicate if you want to use your mobile phone for account access. We highly recommend this option, as it allows you to use your mobile for two-step verification and will help you access your account if you forget your username or password in the future. After selecting Continue, you'll be prompted to choose your communications preferences. On the Communications Preferences screen, select if you'd like to receive required communications from us via email or by postal mail. We recommend email. Besides the required communications, we'll occasionally send you informational communications about grants, student loan forgiveness, or income-based repayment plans you may qualify for. You can opt to receive these by email, text message, or both, or choose not to receive informational communications. You'll also have the option to select English or Spanish as your preferred language for the communications we send you. Next, you'll select 4 challenge questions and answers. Memorize or keep these answers in a safe place in case you need them to help access your account in the future. Choose a question using the drop-down and add your answer in the text box. Select Show Answer to see your answer as you type it. Your answers are not case sensitive. You're almost there. On this step, you can review your information and confirm everything looks correct. If you need to make a correction, select the Edit button within that tile of information. After ensuring your information is correct, review and agree to the terms and conditions at the bottom of the screen. Now you'll add two-step verification to safeguard your account. Whenever you sign in, we'll send a secure code to make sure it's really you. You can choose whether you prefer email, text message, or an authenticator app. We'll begin with your phone number. Select the Verify button under SMS verification. you will automatically be sent a 6-digit secure code. At the same time, a pop-up window will open. Enter the code and select the Continue button. You'll see a green verified icon appear that tells you you're successful. Next, verify your email address. Select the Verify button. You will automatically be sent a 6-digit secure code. At the same time, a pop-up window will open. Enter the code and select the Continue button. You'll see the same verified icon, confirming that you verified your email. You'll also see a green box confirming that your two-step verification is ready to go. We also suggest setting up an authenticator app, which provides the most security of the two-step verification methods. Select Set up an authenticator app. A pop-up window will open. Follow the steps you see there. First, download an authenticator app from the mobile app store or use one you've already downloaded. Next, you can either scan the QR code with your authenticator app or copy the key into your authenticator app. Then select Continue. Another pop-up window will appear. Enter the secure code generated by your authenticator app and select the Finish button. You've done it. Two-step verification is enabled. But what if you're in a situation where you can't use the other two-step verification methods? Don't lose heart. You can use a backup code. Your backup code is generated automatically when you enable two-step verification. Store your code in a safe place until you need it. Congratulations, you've successfully created your FSA ID. If you've entered an email address, you will receive a confirmation email. Make sure you note your username and password and keep them in a safe place. You can begin using your account immediately, but it will take 1 to 3 days for your information to be verified by the Social Security Administration. Some of your actions in the site will be limited until your information is verified. However, with your newly created FSA ID, you can immediately complete and sign a first-time FAFSA form. You can also use your FSA ID to access your dashboard, review your loan balance, and explore additional dashboard features. You are now able to take control of your federal student aid journey and access all studentaid.gov has to offer.
As I mentioned, the 24-25 FAFSA is not going to be available until December, but the student and the parent who provided him with the most financial support in 2022 will need to create their FSA ID. Now, this is the form that we use when working with students and parents. You want to make sure that you are recording all of this information because you are going to use it each time you need to make a FAFSA update or correction. And then you'll use it every year that you're in college because the FAFSA must be renewed. This is what the home page will look like. You'll want to start the 24-25 FAFSA form when it opens in December by entering your username and password, the FSA ID that you've just created. When you log in, you'll be asked to identify yourself. Are you the student or the parent? There are two sections within the FAFSA itself, one for student information, the other for parent info. What you've entered in your FSA ID will pop up here. Double check to make sure everything is correct. If you need to make an amendment to it, go ahead and do that before you begin the FAFSA. The student will automatically be asked to allow the IRS to transfer information about the 2022 records they have into the FAFSA itself. Now, even if the student didn't file a tax return in 2022, he still must provide consent to federal student aid if he wants to receive any type of federal student aid. You'll see here that there are 5 sections that the student will need to complete: personal circumstances, demographics, financials, colleges, and then it's time to sign the FAFSA. I want to address this because many students are taking college courses now while they're in high school. Some may clup out of courses, but for federal student aid and FAFSA purposes, you all will still be first-year freshmen, and you need to report that because you have never received federal student aid in the past. Next, you will want to consider a list of statements in the FAFSA form itself to identify whether you're independent or dependent for FAFSA purposes. Those statements read as follows: the student is serving on active duty in the U.S. Armed Forces, or the student is a veteran of the U.S. Armed Forces. The student has children or others who live with him and receive more than half of their support from him. At any time since the student turned 13, were they an orphan or a ward of the court? Or were they in foster care? Or is the student legally emancipated? And then the last one, is the student in legal guardianship with someone other than a parent or step-parent as determined by a court in the state of Louisiana? Now, if you can answer yes to one of these questions, you will be considered an independent student, and you will be able to skip over the parental portion of the FAFSA itself. Most of us will use none of these apply. The student will begin to be asked information about his parents. Now, these are your legal parents, either your biological or adoptive parents or step-parents, those who financially support you. Because they're trying to determine which parents will serve as contributors to the student's FAFSA. Once those parents have been identified, the student will list their name and contact information so that an email can be sent to each contributor and they can begin their section of the FAFSA. Next, we're going into the student demographic information. These will be questions about your high school, whether you'll be graduating with a diploma, several questions about your specific situation. The students will be asked about their finances. If they worked in 2022, they'll need to report their working wages. If they hold assets, they will need to report those as well. Then you'll want to list the colleges that you're planning to apply to. You'll want to add any colleges that you're considering, even if you haven't completed your admissions applications, and you can add up to 20 schools on the FAFSA. Federal student aid is not just going to send your demographic and financial information out to every school in the country. You must give them permission to release that information. If you're planning to apply to more than 20 schools, you will be guided through that process as well. And then you're getting toward the end. Of course, you'll want to remember to drop down each of these sections to make sure your answers are correct. If you do see that you need to make corrections or amendments to your FAFSA, there's a hyperlink by each question. Click on that hyperlink and it will take you directly back to that question to make the changes. Once you've reviewed all of this information, you will be told that your contributors have been invited. You can remind them as well, but they will receive an email asking them to complete their portion of your FAFSA. Now it's time to sign your section of the FAFSA. You'll want to agree that the information that you've provided so far is correct to the best of your knowledge. And then you'll receive information about the next steps to take. Now, this will show what the parent or other contributor will see. They will receive an email. They're being told that you, the student, have begun your FAFSA and need their help. They will log in with their federal student aid ID, their username and password, and they will automatically be asked to consent to have their income information from 2022 transferred from the IRS into the FAFSA itself. If a parent refuses or contributor refuses to consent to this, the student will not be eligible for federal student aid. The parents will begin to answer questions in their demographic section about their marital status, any other college students they have that will be attending during the 24-25 academic year. They'll be asked about their income from 2022. It's important to have your tax returns with you, as I suggested before, because although information is going to be transferred from the IRS, there may be some manual additions that you might have to make, and you'll need your tax return for that. If anyone in your family received or participated in any of these federal programs, you'll want to note that here. Then continue on to answer more questions about your 2022 income tax return, whether you filed jointly or separately, your family size. Of course, the student will already be counted and the parent or parents will be counted, but then they'll want you to identify any other children that you have living in the household that you will provide support to between January 1, 24 and June 30th, 25. And then it's time for the parent or other contributor to complete the FAFSA and sign it. You'll want to make sure that you're using the drop-down arrow to look at every question you're asked and your answer to each so that you can make corrections if necessary. And then it's time for the parent to agree that the information they have provided is correct to the best of their knowledge. The parent will sign, press submit, and receive a congratulations email. Remember that the student will receive an email as well telling him that the process has been completed. And I do want to remind you, once the process is initiated, all contributors have 45 days to complete the FAFSA, or it will wipe the data and you will begin again. Now, if you live with someone other than your legal parents for any reason, remember, those people should never provide information on your FAFSA. Your legal parents are the only ones. Those would be your biological parents or adoptive parents. If you are in legal guardianship and you live with someone other than your parents are no longer considered your legal parents. You're considered an independent student because you are in legal guardianship. No other adults, no other contributors will be adding to your FAFSA. If the people you're living with have adopted you, then they are your legal parents. So at that time, you would want to include them. Once your FAFSA is submitted, it is shared with all of the schools that you've listed within the FAFSA itself. The financial aid office will review your FAFSA data, check with the admissions office to see if you have been accepted, and then begin to look for any aid they can to help you pay for your expenses on their campus. They will determine the cost of attendance for each student, and they will use your FAFSA answers to determine that. They will look for any grants and scholarships that you might be eligible to receive on their campus to determine your net price. And this is the amount that you will be responsible to pay. You should receive a financial aid offer from each of the colleges that you've been accepted to and sent your FAFSA data to. They aren't all going to look the same, but basically will show in line item your cost of attendance, any grants or scholarships that they know of that you're eligible for, and any student loans that they can offer you to pay the difference, to pay your net price. Work study would also be included if you have been awarded work study. So make sure that you are laying out all of your financial aid offers on the table. And if price is priority to you, it'll be easy to make your decision. You always want to accept your financial aid in this order: scholarships and grants, because they're free money and don't have to be repaid. You don't have to repay federal work study because you've earned that money. And then last would be student loans. I know that you're already looking for scholarships. Your senior year is prime time for this scholarship search. Check with the colleges you're applying to. Private organizations, maybe like your parents' employers, could offer scholarships for the employees' children. Nonprofit organizations like Lila, local businesses, churches, community groups, and social organizations all have scholarship opportunities. So it's your job to do your homework to search those out. Your counselor is the best resource for these scholarship applications and all of the information about them. So check with her. Speaking of scholarships, Leela is offering several FAFSA completion scholarships. These are just for Louisiana high school seniors who are planning to complete a FAFSA. And if you're ready to go ahead and scan this QR code to grab the application from our website, please do that now. Although you're eligible to apply if you're planning to complete your FAFSA, you must have that FAFSA completed if you're selected. We will ask you for the confirmation notification. If you choose to stay in the state of Louisiana and attend a college here, which is what we want you all to do, you're eligible to apply for Leela's Louisiana Choose Louisiana Scholarship. It is a $1,000 award. It's a one-time award, but it can be very helpful in paying for a portion of your education. So take the time now to also scan this QR code. For those of you who are going to pricier colleges and need additional financing, Leela does administer a nonprofit education loan program. It's called Leela Choice, and you can find out more about that at leelachoice.org. Remember, as I stated before, keep all of your information about your federal student aid ID and past income tax records close at hand, because you must complete a FAFSA every year that you are going to be in college. The FAFSA is starting late this year in December because of some technical issues. However, beginning again next year, October 1 will be the start date for FAFSA completion. We are in the process of publishing our FAFSA completion guide. Once it's ready, those of you who have applied for one of our scholarships or registered for one of these sessions will automatically receive an electronic copy of this guide. As I mentioned, my name is Ann Carmichael. This is my email address. If you would like to talk to me specifically about a special situation that you are in, please feel free to email me directly. Thank you very much for allowing me to present, and I look forward to hearing from you all soon.